Are you currently feeling anxious navigating an unknown situation? Well, hi, I'm Hope, and I'm right there with you. So, as human beings, we don't really feel nice and comfy when we are living in the great unknown because we really like to know what's next. What are we expecting? What steps are we taking next? And when we don't know, it causes us to be a bit and we want to know what's next with the job or the relationship or the situation. And honestly, I learned the most about living in the unknown from Steve. Taking care of somebody who is terminally ill, you never know what's going to happen any minute, let alone any day. And so I had to master some tips and tricks of how to navigate the unknown without being completely taken over by the anxiety every single day. And so I am here to share those with you because current me is pulling on all those tricks. If you know anything about selling a house, you know that every single thing has to go an exact way for everything to happen. And I am in an unknown as if that's going to work out. So I have allowed myself to have the anxiety reality of the experience, but I don't want to live there. So what am I doing to get out of there? The very first thing I always have to do when this kind of thing happens is I have to control my mind. I have to control my thoughts. My mind can be the nicest, sweetest little place. Oh, my mind is imaginative and creative and inventive, and she's everyone's hype woman, and she can be my hype woman, and she sees the beauty, and she's hopeful, and she's happy and bubbly and always delighted. She also can be a really horribly mean human. She will tell me everything that could possibly go wrong and play it in a spiral for me until I am... Anyone relate? So I have got to make sure that I am controlling my thoughts very first thing. And so a lot of that is to switch the what if to even if. So when my brain's like, what if this doesn't work out? It's like, even if this doesn't work out, I'm going to pull on my wise friend's words that taught me in Italy. There's a solution to every problem. So if this doesn't work out, I got it. And changing my thoughts from playing out the worst case scenario to playing out the, wouldn't it be wonderful if everything turns out okay? Because what is the point of allowing a negative thought about something we don't even know is happening to control the narrative? So the very first thing I need to do is to control my thoughts and to say, okay, anytime something negative comes, I'm going to switch the narrative to it working out. And it sometimes can take you a lot of repetitive redirects, but if you continue to work on your mind, there is going to become a time where you will catch it so quickly and you'll be able to flip the script right away. The second thing I do is I remember what is within my control, because there's a lot of things that I don't have control over. And when we are putting our efforts into things that we don't have control over, that's when we start to get really anxious, because we're like, well, what if this and what if this and what if they don't do that? And it's like, take a breath. What do you have control over? And then there's this other part of it that helps with, if I have done everything within my control, then I can be like, okay, I have done my part. Now I gotta trust everything else is going to work out. And like with this house, have I made all my phone calls? Have I communicated with everyone as clearly as I need to? Have I followed up with everyone? Even if maybe, just maybe, I feel like I'm getting on people's nerves. Yes. And so when I can say, I know what's within my control, and I am managing what's in my control, and I am letting the other stuff go because it's not within my control, it really brings me back. And so the other thing is like bringing me back to the moment. A lot of times when we're living in an unknown, it's not knowing what's going to happen in the future, but we do know what's happening right now. And so a lot of times I'll put my feet on the ground, really become present in my body. I pay attention to anything that's feeling tense. I do a lot of breathing. I notice my surroundings. So I'll notice some plants or the trees. I'll listen to the cicadas, the car that's coming up down the road. I really want to make sure I am in the present, because sometimes just trying to get ahead of ourselves isn't actually going to do anybody any favors. We're not there yet. So what is going to keep me in this present moment? And a lot of times it's noticing my surroundings and then doing some breathing and just being grateful. Just being grateful for the moment of just being like, okay, as of right now, everything's okay. So I do a lot of journaling. Journaling has been my absolute number one go-to, help me untie these knots in my brain that's tripping me up. And one of the journaling techniques I do around this is to remind myself of my resiliency. And so remind myself of all the other times that I have managed an unknown and managed it well. Because I want to make sure I remember that I have an emotional real resiliency that I can pull on in this moment. I have handled so many other really difficult times and have managed them well. And so I'll do a lot of journaling about, hey, girl, you handled this, like, look at it. You're going to be okay. You got this too. And I think there's something really beautiful about just reminding yourself of your wins. And I think it's something that we should do even in every situation, but especially whenever you're trying to manage an unknown. Just remember, well, I handled that unknown. Why wouldn't I be able to handle this one too? And finally, be curious. Is there something to gain or learn from this unknown situation? Sometimes there's a big lesson in it. And I will say, I'm going to go back to talking about Steve. When I was taking care of Steve, when I really leaned in to the fact that every day was unknown, it made me live in a reverence that I really hope that we can all live in without even having to have our person be sick to do so. I didn't know if he was going to wake up the next day. So each day I got with him was a good day, and I marveled in that, and I was grateful for that, and I really wanted to live in that. And so living in an unknown really reminds you that when we get any moment with our people or with our able bodies or in a situation that we feel really happy for, let's live in the reverence and the gratitude of that. Let's live in awe of, wow, I get to be here with this person right now. I may not get to tomorrow. So wow, how lucky am I to live here today? And that's really, really, really changed the game for me, because when you're taking care of someone sick, the anxiety could just take over you. And there's many times it did. But when I started to take over it and say, you know what? If I'm not going to know what's happening, I am for sure going to take every ounce of my energy I have and put it into living in every beautiful moment that I have and live in reverence of it. And that was like my curiosity of, what can I learn from this experience? And so if you're in an unknown, what can you learn from yours? Okay, if there's anything I can do to help you navigate this, because we all know I have navigated it in many situations, and I believe life will continue to be like, hey, let's keep her on her toes. So she's really gonna know what she's teaching others, and we can know that she's really practicing what she preaches. So if I can help you in any way, whether you're in Georgia and I'm your therapist, or you're out of Georgia and I'm your coach, I am here for it. I am here for you. My contact information is below here. Reach out to me. Let me help you make this be something that could be a moment of growth, a moment of returning to hopefulness, and let go of some of the anxiety that you're holding around the situation. I hope this helps somebody. I know that it's helped me, and I'm feeling much more faithful and hopeful. There was just a deer, just a little bit like shocked by me standing here talking. I think it just wanted to say hello and wish us all well in our unknown journeys.